Hi and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. This is a TV review of the following episode 10. This episode really focuses on Claire, who is the estranged wife or ex-wife of Joe Carroll. And actually, sort of last episode, we get the idea that maybe her sort of where she is in witness protection may have been compromised due to some, someone hacking into the FBI database and finding out some information. So basically, Joe Carroll has got two sort of kind of like militia type, military type guys that are kind of offered to go and try and sort of capture her. He also sends Roderick along with them, much to his kind of like protests. Now, again, I always think we're going to see a divide between Roderick and Joe Carroll, and this kind of further goes along to sort of like support that theory. So initially we have quite an exciting assault on this hotel. The FBI kind of get wind of maybe that there's been a security breach. So, Kevin Bacon's character sort of basically goes to sort of try and move Claire to another location. They're sort of intercepted sort of midway through doing that by these three guys from Joe Carroll's sort of gang. I think it's quite a good heist, although they do seem to kind of get through the agents fairly quickly, I have to say. Now, there's one scene early, sort of when they could escape. They do manage to escape. Basically, they all get killed apart from, of course, Kevin Bacon and Claire. And Kevin Bacon shoots one of the guys behind the truck, behind their sort of truck where they're getting away from, and he actually falls directly behind their truck. Now, what's interesting here is they get into the truck, Kevin Bacon and his character and Claire, and they reverse out. Now, he was in the position actually directly behind the truck, so he would have actually got run over, but when you see him again, he's kind of, he's just fallen in a different place. There's a little bit of inconsistency there, first of all. Anyway, they manage to escape, and they end up going to one of sort of Kevin Bacon's friends from the FBI. And he's played by the guy who plays Batista in the Dexter series. And we kind of get some flashbacks of them in the past. And I forget the actor's name, but he's always got a goatee whenever I see him. And I've seen him in a few bits. He was the main bad guy in the Expendable film as well. And we actually see some flashbacks of him clean shaven. It looks kind of weird, I have to say. But anyway. So Claire's kind of sort of asking about any of Ryan's sort of ex sort of girlfriends and stuff like that, and she's told by Ryan's friend basically that there was maybe one other girl who kind of got close to him, called Molly, but that never ended up going anywhere. But there's a stinger to that one later on. So it turns out that one of the guys who initially tried to capture Claire managed to sort of attach a tracking device in Claire's pocket. And here's the issue I have with this episode, the main issue. So they find this tracking device in Claire's pocket, and at this point the FBI don't know. They've gone off grid. They don't know where they are because Ryan's basically taken the SIM card out of his phone. So essentially Joe Carroll's guys can't trace him. Fair enough. But they find this tracker. So they know that Joe Carroll's guys are aware of where they are, but they do not call for any type of backup. And that to me seems like it's a massive oversight. I understand why they kept a low profile, first of all, because obviously there may well be, they don't know if their sort of communications are being monitored or what have you, or the mole or whatever. But at this point, they know that Joe Carroll's people know where they are. So there's absolutely no reason why they couldn't call for backup. And instead what they do is they just basically prepare to be assaulted by these kind of guys. And there seems to be a reasonable amount of time, we're talking about a few hours, from when they find this tracking device from when the attack actually happens. So there was plenty of time to get some support from the FBI. So that seems like, I don't understand that logic. This show is generally fairly intelligent, but it does have these kind of like, just silly moments sometimes where people just don't act logically, and this is one of them. And there's another one that happens a little bit later on as well, maybe not to quite that extent, but So eventually you have the assault by these three guys, and inevitably one of the sort of bad guys gets killed, and we all know what's going to happen. Batista, I'm going to call him Batista because I can't remember his name, basically gets Ryan's friend, gets shot. He's not actually killed, although they are talking about this death curse or whatever that Ryan has, that whoever he's sort of friendly or is kind of is close to ends up getting killed. But, you know, we don't know if he's going to get killed or not. He's a series regular in Dexter, so I would imagine he's not going to be too much of a reoccurring character in this show. But, you know, at the end of the episode, he's still alive, although he's in the hospital. And basically, the other kind of lapse in logic really is kind of what happens in here. So initially, Roderick is kind of outside the door, and he's just saying to Claire, "I'll come out and no one will get hurt." So initially, that's his mother problem with it. So they know these guys are pretty much outside this door. So I don't know why Ryan Hardy and this other guy didn't try to attack them at that point, because they know where these two guys are, but the guys outside the house don't know where Ryan Hardy is. So they had the advantage in that respect. As I say, there's a bit of a fight. Ryan's friend gets injured, and then Claire just decides to go with the bad guys. And I think, well, why didn't she just go before? That was what she was going to do. And I don't know. To me, that seemed like a bit of an unusual choice. I mean, they do sort of say, "Oh, you know, we're going to take you to see your son or whatever," and she just decides to go. But that's kind of what they've been saying all along, that they're going to want to take to see her son. But she's waited until this guy gets shot before she decides that's what she's going to do. You know, and she's already been sort of duped into this way. She's already been sort of asked to come in by another sort of one of Joe Carroll's colleagues in previous episodes. They said, "I'll come with us and we'll take you to see your son." And then she escaped then. So I don't really understand why she decided to just do exactly the same thing again. And these kind of inconsistencies annoy me. While all this is going on, you kind of have the B plots about Joshua, who is one of the two sort of serial killers that initially kidnapped Joey, the little kid. He's returned back to the sort of like the killer mansion where they're all hanging out. And he's sort of seeing visions of his kind of like the other guy that he had to sort of suffocate in the last episode. And basically he's in the visions, this guy's sort of telling him to kill Emma, who is just kind of like the lover that kind of left him. And they sort of end up having a little bit of a they're not quite obviously on terms. She's sort of telling him she loves him and all of that, and he seems to be a bit distant, but Joe Carroll are basically asked to patch it up with them. And they do, but then he basically says, he admits that he killed the other guy and sort of says, "Watch your back." You know, so that bit was all so, to be honest with you. Not all that interesting, if I'm completely honest. One little thing I would say is we have a few scenes where you've got Joe Carroll and his son sort of, and Joe Carroll's trying to sort of build bridges with his son. And I'd have to say the relationship that is kind of being presented, you actually, now if you can kind of forget the fact that Joe Carroll's this kind of master serial killer, he actually seems like he'd be an okay dad. The sort of relationship and the way he's sort of treating his son and kind of having these sort of conversations with him, you know, he seems like he the serial killer bit aside, he'd be an okay dad if it wasn't for that. So just a little observation for me personally. For me, this was an okay episode, but a couple of strange logic choices to me kind of took me out of it a little bit. So I'm going to give this episode a 5 out of 10 because the initial assault on the hotel I thought was quite fun and I quite enjoyed that. But there you go. 5 out of 10 for me. What do you think of it? Leave me a comment and I look forward to seeing you next time. See you later.